We are on our 7-day cruise on Ovation of the Seas. This is my first time doing a cruise review video while I'm on the ship, so hopefully I can remember to tell you guys about all of the things that I might forget if I wasn't still on the cruise. So let's get started with the pros and cons. This is a 7-day cruise to Alaska. It makes 2 stops in Alaska and then it cruises through Endicott Arms and Dawes Glacier. The first 2 stops were great. Let's go by day. So I will say that the first stop was Juneau, the capital of Alaska. And in that day, I did the Mendel Glacier and the Mendel Glacier and whale watching excursion, which was pretty pricey on the cruise ship. All of the excursions are pricey, but I did go right at the port. You guys can get a private tour, right steps off of the pier, the same place that you're going to meet the ship's excursion crew. Right next to them is the port excursion crew. So let's talk about Juneau. So I went up to each excursion counter to get some prices for you guys, and what it looks like, the prices are cheaper than the ship. What it looks like though is you can book one or the other. You can't book them all together, like you can batch them together, which is what the ship did. The cruises on the ship for the whale watching and Mendel Glacier was, I believe it was $300 for adults, which was a lot, because when I stopped at the pier on port, I asked someone how much their Mendel Glacier was, and for the Mendel Glacier only, it was $80 per person. Now the ship does give you child pricing. It doesn't seem like you're getting child pricing options at the port, so sometimes that might factor in, but it was still cheaper because the whale watching and then the Mendel Glacier was $80. The whale watching was $108. So even if I had booked both of those separately, it still would have cost me less than it would have cost on the ship. On the port, they have tours leaving almost every hour up until a certain point so they can get you back to the ship on time. So you can also get off early. You can get off when the ship docks. Our ship docked at 7:30. You can get off when the ship docks, and then you can book an excursion for later that day. So you can pick whatever time you want. And that's another good thing because you can see how you're feeling that day. Like maybe you're not up for jumping on an excursion at 8 o'clock, but that's what you signed up for on the ship. You can get off the boat and go see what time you want to go for an excursion later in the day. They also have more time options. There were excursions leaving every single hour on the port, on the pier. So that was pretty good. Now, what I would say too, I'm not really sure about the Mendel Glacier excursion in general because I paid for that, but when you get there, it very much looks like a free public park area. There was no one checking for tickets. There was no one checking, they stamped our hand. There was no one checking for stamps on your hands. There was none of those things that make me think that it actually did cost versus the ship or the port just selling you a ride to the Mendel Glacier, which is what they will say at the port. It says Mendel Glacier bus, which makes me believe they're really just charging you for the bus ride. It's about a 25-minute ride, so they're charging $80 a person for that ride. I'm not sure if you could take a taxi there. It might be cheaper than $80, and you get to go in. It looks like a free public park. It doesn't look like it actually costs to get in there, but you are paying from the boat and from the port to get there. And they make it seem like the cost includes the bus and the excursion, but it probably only includes the bus. Like I said, no one checked to make, there was no one collecting tickets. There was no admission area. There was nothing. People were just getting off and walking through the park. So it might be as a state park or a public park. So that's the Mendel Glacier. Now for the whale watching, I will say it's maybe not as exciting as you might think. It is nice to see. It's nicer as a boat as a boat tour of just being in the water, but going through different parts and different islands. You'll see more glaciers while you're in the water, and you have nicer views. But I would say, as far as whale watching, they guarantee the sighting of a whale. That could literally just be the tail of a whale sticking out of the water, and that's your sighting. So I really think that the 2 excursions for that, for the price, were not worth it. But I was happy to see more of Alaska from the ocean, from the water, where we went into to find the whales. And then it was called a whale watching and wildlife quest, so it was even more than the whale watching. And that wildlife quest was just some sea lions sitting on a buoy. So it was like I paid even more money and I just saw sea lions sitting on the buoy. So if there's a boat ride, that might be better than going on an excursion that costs $300. It might be worth it just to go on a boat ride through the water, because you'll probably see wildlife and whales if you're on a boat in the water. Even coming back from the Dawes Glacier today is our day we're returning closer to Victoria. And even coming back to the Dawes Glacier, I was outside on the deck and I saw a bunch of whales, more than I saw on the whale watching tour. More visibility, closer to the ship, better view right there out of the side of one of the upper decks on the ship. So that's that. Let's see what else. So Juneau. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. They have it booked so that it takes just as much time. I will say their excursion did include hot chocolate, and then they serve these little snacks throughout your ride to the whale watching. Very light, small snacks, nothing special. So nothing really exciting. You're not getting, I definitely think, one, you know, it was an experience, but it was definitely an overpriced experience. And like I said, I think if you can get to the glacier on your own, you're better off on that. And then whale watching, if there is a cheaper whale watching tour at the port, you might as well do that one, because you might just only see the back of a whale, and they can say, well, you saw a whale. So that is what I would say about that. The whales were not coming out of the water. That was that. But like I say, the boat was crowded. Everybody was running just to see. Every time you see some water spout up, and we saw a lot of water spouts and stuff like that, but it wasn't really a lot of whales just in and out of the water. So I don't know if it was worth it for that excursion. Now, of course, these towns in Alaska are small and they're really relying on tourism, but you also want to get your money's worth, because every excursion in Alaska is very expensive. So you want to make sure you're getting your money's worth, and not that it's just kind of feels like a money grab, because there's only a certain season where there is the tourism from the ships, and the people who live in these towns depend on that income to actually last them for the whole year, even outside of tourism season. So, you know, things are very priced high, probably to account for that need of income on the off season. That is that. And then let's see, as far as the ship, I would say I tried my best to stay up and do most of the activities. My sleep schedule has been way off. I've been extremely tired. I don't know, adjusting to this time change. First you go back 3 hours from the East Coast to the West Coast, and then you go back 2 hours once you're on the ship. So you're even further behind. So it's very hard to kind of stay up in the night. And with that said, I booked some dinner reservations, and it was really hard sitting through dinner. So just keep that in mind on this trip. I think the dinner packages were, they were discounted from other cruises that I've been on. They have a 3 dining package for $165 where you get to go through 3 specialty restaurants. So they are cheaper, but what I will say is, because of the time differences, you just might not be able to fully enjoy going to a dinner later in the night, because you might be tired. and I was like forcing myself to sit through some of these dinners, and I was extremely tired. And the food was really good, but I couldn't enjoy it as much as I would have loved to, just because I was tired. So keep that in mind. And that is what I'm going to say about the ship. And so I think it's something else as I'm talking, because I'm just going with it. So let's talk about the next stop, Skagway. So Skagway is even smaller than Juneau. And that one, I initially had booked the White Pass train on the ship, but I decided to just go for the bus ride because I didn't want the times for the train. And also I wasn't sure if my daughter would want to sit on the train for 3 hours. So I opted to, as soon as I stopped in Skagway, which I'll be posting a video. I post videos every time I'm getting off the ship. So at every port I get off, I walk around the port so you guys can see what's immediately available, right steps away from the ship. And then later I came back and then went on my excursions, so I could give you guys a review about the excursions. So that's kind of my process. So in Skagway, I got off at 7. Nothing was open in town, which I thought would be good to walk around without the crowds of people. So I walked around the little tiny downtown area. I believe it took me an hour. And the port in Skagway, the pier, is very long. And that is a long walk. Like, it's far, but the town is right there. So once you walk off, you'll get to town. So it only took me like, I think 30 minutes to walk around the town, and then 30 minutes to come back to like loop around the town and head back to the ship. So I kind of did a loop. I went between some of the streets so you guys can see what there's to offer. Shops, there's fudge shops, there's, you know, art shops, jewelry shops. There's a lot of shopping options there. And then, yeah, it's just a small town. So there's not a lot to do. There's some food you can get. There's some shopping, and there's just walking around and seeing what's there. There's a Gold Rush Museum, which I believe is free. And the White Pass Rail. Now let's talk about that, because every single ship is selling that excursion. I believe it was, well, when I went to the White Pass Rail station in Skagway, like off of the ship, and I walked to the train station, they were selling tickets for $155. So that's $155, and that's much less than it was on the ship. Whatever the ship is charging in Skagway, you can go right to the train station as you would in any other city, and you can buy a ticket for the train. The train is huge. I'm not sure if it even sells out, but you can buy tickets for the train, and they also have multiple trains at different times of the day. So as I said, I did the bus, and right outside of the port as well, like literally right where you will meet the cruise excursion team, there is a little red house or a little red box you guys will see, well, shack, not box. There's a little red shack that you guys will see right next to the port, and they are selling excursions there. So check out my video for Skagway. I have the prices for all of their excursions, and I have all the excursions they offer, which are of course still all cheaper than a cruise ship, and they're right there meeting you at the same exact spot that you would get on your excursion from the cruise. So you guys can check that out in my Skagway video. There's another one of those shacks in town, so you can actually, if you're walking around and then you decide you want to go look at some of the options, you can do that there too. In Skagway, there is a electric bike rental option, and they also sell that at the Red Shack. It's called Klondike Bikes. So you can actually rent an electric bike, which is pretty cool. Then you can just ride around wherever you can go. Now, the funny thing about Skagway is there's only one road. So the bus that you take to the summit will follow that there's only one road. So we'll just go up the road, and you'll see the train winding through the mountains as you're on the bus. And it was nice because we saw the train, and I thought, oh, that looks pretty cool, because the train is literally riding through the mountains. So I think the train ride would have been great, but I would have booked it at the station and not on the boat. And then I would have also had more control over what time I was taking it. So, like I said, the bus ride was still nice. They make stops on the bus though, so you can get off and take pictures. So that was pretty cool. I got a picture of the Welcome to Alaska sign because you're technically leaving, and there's the border of Canada. You have to cross the border, so you do need your passport for the bus ride. So that was nice. I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything. Let's see what else we have. Skagway. Yeah, so other than that, very easy in both stops to find the excursions off of the boat. The prices are reasonable, and the walks through town are very short. I believe in Juneau, I may have walked more than an hour, but in Skagway, definitely just 1 hour back and forth. And I was able to do a nice walk through town. So it was also nice because I was able to just go through town and walk and see everything myself. They do have a bus in Skagway that leaves from where the ship is. It's called a smart bus. That bus costs $3 one way or $5. It's like a $5 hop on, hop off bus. Now, I'm not sure. They said the wait could be between 5 and 15 minutes. If you're not in a rush, shouldn't be a problem because the boat stays in Skagway for a long time. So I would say if I had known that before, I probably would have just paid the $5 just so I could hop on and hop off and kind of get through town. But the town is so small, you can still walk the town in such a short amount of time. So I wanted to see everything, so I didn't really want to be riding on the bus the whole time, but taking the bus up to the summit was nice because it drives up the one road through Skagway and then back down. And so you see all of the things that you would see on the train, not as much because the train is on the actual mountain track. So that is that. Now, one other thing that I saw in Skagway, which I wish I would have known too, apparently you can rent Jeeps. So if you have a family of 5 or 6, you guys can just rent a Jeep and you can do your own thing. Since there's only one road though, I'm not really sure where people were going, unless if you rent a Jeep with a family of 5, maybe it's cheaper than paying $80 for each person to take the bus up that one road. And if you have your passports, you can actually go through Canada and take a longer drive. So maybe that's what people were doing, like they were choosing to take the ride all the way up to Canada. Now, before I forget, the bus to the summit only goes to the highest point of the road. So some people were confused. They do not go to the highest point on the mountain. And they don't even tell you that until you are on the bus. And they're like, oh, this is not for the highest point of the mountain. It's to the highest point of the road, which, you know, so we didn't go that far. It didn't drive, the bus didn't go into Canada because she said she didn't want us to have to go through Canadian customs to get back through. So again, if you rent one of those Jeeps, it's a huge parking lot with all these nice off-road Jeeps. You can just rent a Jeep. It's looked like it was part of Avis. There was an Avis rental car. You guys will see it in my video of Skagway because I did make sure to capture it just so that I have all the things captured in case I forget to say anything in this review video. So yeah, be sure to definitely check out those 2 videos. Either way, Skagway was nice. I didn't eat there. In Juneau, I did buy some chocolate and some popcorn from the port, and neither of them were that great, and it was really expensive. The chocolate was like $18 and the popcorn was like $12. We had to throw the popcorn away. The shop smelled so good that it smelled like it was gonna be good, but it wasn't. And the chocolate didn't taste like anything special. They were saying Alaskan fudge, but I'm not really sure what makes it special to Alaska, but it definitely just tastes like regular chocolate, and it was definitely overpriced. But I got some, I wanted to try some stuff, and that's what I chose to try because I thought Izzy would also enjoy them. So that is that. So those are the 2 stops. And then let's get to the Endicott Arms and Dawes Glacier. So that during that, your ship will just cruise through this area very slowly. And I will say our ship got to the Dawes Glacier at 7. Now I did win a Royal Up bid for a balcony stateroom before my cruise, and the balcony upgrade for $300 extra. And I was excited about that, but as you guys will see in my Ovation of the Seas video, there is an obstructed view on my balcony. I thought, oh, it would still be nice to have a balcony just because you're on an Alaskan cruise. But one, it's too cold most of the time to go out on the balcony. And when you get to the Dawes Glacier, it wasn't that hard. I could see the glacier from my balcony, which was cool. The boat will turn around, so you don't have to worry about which side of the ship you're on. He's gonna turn around, the captain will turn around the ship so that you can see the glacier from both sides of the ship. They will sit there, and also it was fine going up to the higher decks and going up to the higher viewing areas. As I said, I could see it right from my balcony, which I thought would be like really cool, but it actually wasn't really necessary. So I probably definitely could have saved the $300 upgrade on an excursion or something else, because it was too cold. Like, I usually hang my clothes, I wash, I hang our swimsuits. It was too cold to hang anything to dry. It was too cold to really go out on the balcony a lot. And it was too cold to leave the door open and try to get some fresh air. Like, I tried a few times here and there, but it was just not worth it because we were freezing. The room gets cold really fast. So I wouldn't say a balcony is necessary, but if it's not overly more expensive, then maybe it's worth having. But I could have definitely done without it and saved that $300. But it is my first Alaskan cruise, and I thought maybe it would be nice to have a balcony. Now I know next time definitely will just be fine with an interior, because there's so much to see. You want to go up anyway to the highest deck. I've been going all the way up to 15. You want to go up and look and see everything, like full view, unobstructed. Even like from the balcony, you're not getting that full view. Like, you can turn it around, you can do a 360, you can walk around the whole upper deck and just video or see everything. So I was doing that a lot, even though I had a balcony. So that's what I'll say about that. And the glacier is nice. It's early in the morning, so you do have to wake up for it, but there is a good period of time where you can stay out there and see it and take pictures. You don't have to rush. And that's that. So our next stop, we haven't gotten there yet, is Victoria. I will do a review because this will be my first time in Victoria. So I will do a review for you guys. I have not booked an excursion because I'm supposed to meet up with some friends in Victoria, but I will do my customary walking off the ship port video for you guys. And let's just do a quick overview of this ship before I cut off. So this is Ovation of the Seas. I have the same interior stateroom that I normally book. Well, actually, balcony stateroom. So the interior and the balcony, some of them I thought they were all the same. Like, if you book an interior, I thought it was the same size just without the balcony, but I saw some small rooms. And to talk about that, when I won the bid up offer, the Royal Love offered for the balcony room, they choose the room for you. So I'm on the 6th floor and I'm aft. So I was worried because I always like to stay midship, mid-deck. And I was worried that I was going to be feeling the ship rocking a lot, being all the way in the aft and lower on the 6th level. But the good thing about the cruise to Alaska, they are cruising very slow. So you really don't feel the movement. I guess they have to cruise slower because of so much wildlife in the water. They have to be careful. So no matter what deck you're on, I think you'll be fine as far as motion sickness, seasickness. There's no feeling of anything. And my room is 6,300. I don't hear anything. It's very quiet. So it hasn't been horrible, but I was definitely worried when I saw the room assignment. So that's just something to note. You don't have to worry too much about your position on the ship because they're cruising, I think we were between 22 and 31 knots this whole time. We're going so slow through this water, and I've seen dolphins swimming right by the boat. So I'm pretty sure that's why the boat is going so slow, because there's just so many wildlife in this water and they have to be careful. So that's that. The other thing I would say about this specific ship, I have been on cruises that have more activities. This one, the shows aren't like that great, especially for Royal Caribbean, because I used to cruise on Norwegian and the shows were not that great, but on this cruise, it's giving me those Norwegian show vibes. Royal Caribbean usually has these spectacular shows, and on this specific ship, they're not really that great, and the offerings aren't really, there's not a lot of offerings. I think there was one show one night. We're on day 5. There might be one other show coming up, I'm not sure, but it wasn't like the normal Royal Caribbean like show. And that might be because it's very hard for people to stay up anyway, so maybe they already know like a lot of people are going to go to sleep and they don't want to be putting on these shows in the nighttime if they're not going to get a lot of people to go to them. But it is nice to have like something a little bit more spectacular. The silent parties have been nice, custom to what you're going to experience. Is there anything else I can say specific to this ship? I don't think there's anything else really about this particular ship. I did do the chef's table yesterday. I did Jamie's Italian, and we're doing Wonderland tomorrow. I was gonna do Chops Grill, but after doing the chef's table, I don't think I need to go to Chops Grill. They served the filet mignon at the chef's table. So that was pretty cool. So I'm gonna have that video up. I'm gonna have a video up of each restaurant with a review of the food, so be sure to check that out. If you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna have so many videos coming up from this cruise. I was definitely sure to be more mindful of capturing things. I take you guys' feedback into consideration as far as what kind of things you would like me to review in actual detail. So I was sure to capture some footage of the food, and I'm gonna give you guys reviews of the actual food, all of those things. So you know, so the good thing about the cruise, the dining package was relatively cheap. So I was able to try out more restaurants than I normally would pay for, which they're the same restaurants on these ships. So it was nice to try them out this time while it was a little bit cheaper. Now I know if I definitely enjoyed something, like I would definitely do the chef's table again on maybe every cruise. That whole experience for the price is definitely worth it. Some of the other restaurants, as you guys will see in the video, maybe not. I will have videos up of that too, so be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want more in-depth cruise content. I am really trying to get actual information to you guys about some of the things that you might experience on the cruise, and definitely I wanted to be sure to get real pricing at the ports, because that's something that I would like to know, how much it's going to cost at the port versus on the ship, especially on this Alaskan cruise where all the excursions were so expensive. Yes, I was mad when I saw I could have saved so much money buying my excursions off port, but I know for next time if I ever come back to Alaska. And there was one other thing I was just thinking about that I thought was important to tell you guys. Let's see, can I pull it back? Oh, the weather. Oh my God. So it was actually pretty warm in July in Alaska, and for the boat ride, well, the boat, I guess you're outside, so yes, it's windy. So be sure if you wear a hat, have something you can tie onto your neck. If you're going whale watching, the weather might be nice, but it's going to be very windy on the boat. Bring something that you can tie onto your head, or you can pull your hood and tighten your hood up. That's for that. It was warm in Alaska, so I dressed in layers, and even then I was still very hot. So I actually ended up wearing a tank top and then a hoodie. And that way, if I got hot on the bus, I could just take my jacket off, and I was fine. Like, I was so hot. So definitely pack in layers, pack stuff that you can kind of take off, but also, you know, pack to be comfortable too, because on the bus ride, it was like I had so many bags and it was just a lot. I wish I could have had less, but I brought my hat and all that just in case it was cold. I put it in the backpack, but I didn't need it. So I guess you can't really help that in Alaska because there's a lot of outdoor activities. You're going to be carrying stuff. But if you're taking a boat ride or the tram ride, you don't really need to bring that much stuff. So that is one thing I should have thought of. Like, I didn't need to bring all of my stuff for the bus ride when I went to the summit. And yeah, packing in layers is definitely necessary. The day that you see the Dawes Glacier, it might be raining and it might be cold, especially if you're going to the higher decks. So definitely when you get dressed to go up to see that, just make sure you're dressed in something that's going to keep you kind of dry from the rain and also warm, because you don't want to have to go back down to your room because the boat is going past the glacier and like every second it's moving further or further and you don't want to miss anything. So you just want to go up prepared. And that's all. If you guys have any questions, just be sure to leave them in the comments. This is my first face-to-face video. Hopefully I'll get better at doing these, but this is my first one and I wanted to give it a try, and I wanted to share the information with you guys this way, as I see so many other cruise channels doing. So I hope I did a good job. If I didn't, you don't have to leave a comment in the, you don't have to leave a comment about that in the comment section. I will just try to do better next time for you guys. But also, like, if there's more information that you guys think I should have got, or I probably did get and forgot to mention it in this video, just ask me a question. I am going on another cruise. I'm going back to Norwegian. I am going on a 14-day cruise with 9 stops in December. So I will have a lot more content, and I would like to capture as much information as I can about while I'm on that cruise for you guys. So I will take into consideration your comments from this video. There we have it, cruising, Shonda and Izzy. Izzy is here. We both have been trying to sleep on and off. Today is our last cruising day before we're almost getting home. So I wanted to do the video today while we had so much downtime. Today we actually took a rest day. So we've just been really resting and relaxing because it was just so much stuff to do. So it was kind of nice that there wasn't a lot of really good stuff going on today on the boat, so I didn't feel like I was missing out and I could just really rest. There you have it, guys. I hope you guys like this video. Thumbs up it if you do. Leave feedback, ask questions, and I will see you guys on the next one.